Intended. So I grew up on the ocean as a kid. I grew up in San Diego on the beach. I grew up as a surfer and swimmer, and I've always had sort of an affinity for water, just really for my own pleasure. But I have noticed just through other people, obviously, that water seems to have a really universal connection for people. It brings a lot of comfort, it brings a lot of joy, it brings stress down. It's beautiful to look at, it's beautiful to be in. So there's a lot of really wonderful, just sort of pleasing aspects about water that allow people to escape from their daily life. And I think even deeper than that, there's sort of a strong psychological connection to water. We're made of water, we're of water. You can think about the womb. You can think about water in terms of its cleansing effect, even religiously with baptism. There's something about water that we're drawn to. But on the flip side, we're very vulnerable in water. It's a great abyss. In fact, it's probably the biggest piece of landscape that we can ever be submerged and alone in. And with that comes some risk. The majority of my experience surfing or swimming has been fantastic. I've had a few situations where they've been near-death drowning experiences that were quite frightening and really enlightened me in the fact that this joyous place also comes with risk. But even that, there's something beautiful about. There's something wonderful, I think, about testing that vulnerability, about allowing yourself to be vulnerable and to see what that does to you. Swimming just a little farther out off the shore of the beach, going a little bit deeper. There's something that I think we can learn in those experiences. So oftentimes people ask me when I started painting water or why exactly, and to be honest, I don't know. It wasn't some aha moment where I woke up and decided just to start painting it. It kind of trickled, no pun intended, itself into the imagery. But I think the most poignant time when I really, really started to find my voice with water was when my wife's was pregnant, and I started really thinking about just that little baby living in this dark, liquid world. And at the same time, I studied psychology in college, and there's a lot of psychologists use water as a metaphor or an analogy for many different things. And I was very, very inspired and very admired, actually, the strength it took my young wife at 23 years old to be pregnant. And I started painting paintings of women rowing boats over giant waves in the ocean. And it was a series of paintings called Calm Woman in a Turbulent Storm because of all the unknowns ahead. Again, it's that vulnerability I talked about. So that really, I think that was probably the most poignant part of the water journey. And then shortly after that, we all moved to Spain and lived right on the coast in a beautiful part of Spain. And the relationship with water that these old countrymen had, I thought was just really beautiful. They've been fishing from the seas for 3,000 years, and so much of their world is dependent on the weather and dependent on the seas. So it really just started to become a more powerful subject for me.